three young houseflies stow away aboard the Apollo 11 flight to the moon. Welcome back. This is Cartoon Recapped. Today we'll show you a 2008 family adventure cartoon called Fly Me to the Moon. Be aware of heavy spoilers. Sit back and enjoy the show. The narrator explains that in 1957, the Soviet Union launched Earth's first satellite Sputnik 1 into orbit. In 1961, when NASA was putting a chimpanzee aboard Mercury Atlas V, astronaut Yuri Gagarin became the first person to go to space. Feeling the sense of urgency to overtake the Soviets in the space race, U.S. President John F. Kennedy made a statement toward a joint session of Congress on May 25, 1961, stating that before the decade is out, he plans to launch a man to the moon and return him safely to the Earth. 8 years later, in 1969, an 11-year-old fly named Nat and his two best friends, IQ and Scooter, build a fly-sized rocket in a field across from Cape Canaveral, Florida, where Apollo 11 sits on the Kennedy Space Center Launch Complex 39. From his earliest memory, Nat's grandfather, Amos, often tells him of his many adventures, such as his daring rescue of Amelia Earhart when she crossed the Atlantic Ocean on her historic 1932 solo flight. Wanting to be an adventurer like his grandpa, Nat tells his friends his plan to get aboard Apollo 11 and go to the moon. They, with some reluctance, are in. The next morning, the three flies make it into launch control and stow away inside the space helmets of astronauts Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Moments later, Flight Director Gene Kranz in Houston's Mission Control Center gives the go for launch. As the Saturn V rocket climbs through the atmosphere and reaches its Earth parking orbit, Nat, Scooter and IQ's mothers faint upon hearing from Grandpa that their sons will be in space for a week. Grandpa, Nat's mother, and the others watch TV to get news of their offspring's adventure. As the astronauts appear on camera, the heroic flies wave in the background, visible to other flies but barely seen by humans, except for the attentive NASA flight controller Steve Bales, who informs Armstrong of the contaminants on board. In the Soviet Union, there are other flies watching TV, Soviet flies who cannot tolerate the idea that American flies might get to the moon first. Special Soviet operatives are enlisted to interfere with the American mission, including an operative named Yeager. Fortunately, Nadia, a Soviet fly, hears Scooter calling out the name of Amos, who she met in Paris and loved many years ago. On board the command module Columbia, as the burn cycle to enter the moon's translunar injection orbit begins, the spacecraft is violently rocked. There's a short circuit in the service module that must be fixed manually or the ship won't be able to complete its mission. Nat and IQ fly through a maze of wires, find the problem, and repair it just in time. Unaware of the fly's aid, the ship enters orbit and the astronauts perform the maneuver to turn Columbia around to dock with the lunar module Eagle and pull it away from the spent SIVB rocket. Just as the flies congratulate each other, they are sprayed with a numbing aerosol and held captive in a test tube. The flies manage to break the vial. Nat sneaks into Armstrong's helmet as he enters Eagle, which lands on Mare Tranquillitatis. From inside Armstrong's helmet, Nat beams with every awe-inspiring historic step. IQ and Scooter joined him on the surface inside Aldrin's helmet. After a climactic rescue with Nat bringing Scooter back to Columbia, Eagle is jettisoned. Back on Earth, other plots are being set in motion. After more than 30 years apart, Nadia arrives in America and visits Amos, and tells him and Nat's mother about the Soviet plot to divert the mission. Amos takes off with a vow to save the mission. At Mission Control, the Soviet operatives prepare to alter the descent codes. Unaware of the potential danger, the Apollo 11 astronauts and the flies prepare to come back home. Amos, Nat's mother, Nadia, their friend Louie and two local teens, Ray and Butch, join forces to stop Yeager and the Soviet plan as Columbia arrives near Earth's atmosphere. With their combined efforts, the Soviet threat is crushed, thus saving the astronauts and the flies. Nat, IQ and Scooter return to their junkyard as heroes. At the film's end, the real Buzz Aldrin appears and explains that no flies were on board during the historic flight, and it is scientifically impossible for a bug to go to space. Thanks for watching. Hope you all enjoyed and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.